All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Golf Quest. We're here with our guests, Matt Danzig and Nick Marino. Golf clap for you guys. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Happy to
absolutely.
have you. Happy to have you here. You were both part of our top 100 journey, and we're excited to have you kind of talk about your stories with us and probably talk a little smack. I've got some stories about you guys too, so it's going to be a fun time here tonight.
We'll take it easy on you, Chris.
All right. Well, we always like to start with a little logo check. So, what's everyone wearing tonight?
I thought it would be appropriate to come with my Caves Valley.
Okay,
There you
little
go.
Cave Valley action.
I've had the honor to attend or participate a few times with you guys, so appreciate that.
Always a dull time over there.
Yeah,
And I'm
much better horses out there. Sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
no, you're good. Yeah, I'm waiting for my cave stuff. Wait, I'm hoping to get up there this year, but I'm representing where we took the Hartmans to Sand Hills, number 98 for them.
Oh, nice.
11 in the world. I'm sure there's a lot to talk about it, but I figured it was appropriate. I got over my shoulder here the other course that we went to that there's a story about that too that is quite interesting how that got pulled off.
Yeah.
But those are my two logos.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to that in a little bit here, Nick. And see, my dad's got something on there. Was that?
Oh, yeah. Do you guys only have one or two logos? I've got Port Marnock on. Have Pinehurst shirt. I've got a Fisher's Island belt. And I'll say for the end what else I'm wearing. All right.
And what do I have on here? Oh, that is not Florida State for all you non-golfers. That's what we like to call Seminole down in Florida. And just like the Waste Management and America, this podcast is for the people. So I've got the People's Open on here. I got a couple, good logos hanging behind me here: Chicago Golf, Royal Birkdale. So we like to keep it. We like to keep it fun here and have some great logos. So awesome. Well, why don't we jump into it here? So we're going to start with you, Mr. Danzig.
Please.
You were on our trip to Canada to go play Cabot Links, Cabot Cliffs, Highland Links. I guess just to start it off, after that trip, how did you feel about electricity?
Overrated, for sure. Overrated, for sure. And by the way, before we start, I realized that was in the month of December, so that put us about 4 years out from your 100 courses. 4 years.
Well, it was in September of 2019?
Yeah, that wasn't
2019.
December, Matt.
September.
Oh, I thought you said, okay.
September. Because I do believe you guys hit it in September of 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did.
You got it. Yeah, we finished our top 100 quest, which was awesome. And I asked Matt about the electricity because for some of you that don't know, we happened to play that some of those courses in a Category 1 hurricane.
That's right.
Do you remember anything about that, Matt?
Shockingly, I do. What was it? What was the name of it? Dorian, was it? Was it Dorian or? I don't know.
I don't even know. I just know that it was an interesting time.
It was. It was a fun time, though. If you remember, we were in between Highlands and Cabot, and we were at the distillery.
Yep.
We were staying at a small distillery. I forget the name of the distillery. And lights were completely out. Toilets, lights, food, nothing. Everything was difficult to come by, let's say. And we're out in the middle of the woods too, by the way.
Yeah, Matt and I were roommates, and fortunately, we had better manners than some of the other roommates that were there with us, and that's why I think he brought up the toilet part, because I think there were some bad toilet stories that came out of that one.
But it was good. I mean, the staff there, they were very accommodating. They pulled out everything they possibly could for us. They laid out any food that would have gone bad otherwise, and laid it out for us to eat and served drinks. I think we played cards in the lodge area or whatever, the little common area there, but it was great.
Do you remember that like someone or maybe a couple people that were there but missing from our staying at the hotel with no electricity?
Yeah, that would have been your parents, Chris, because we saw that hurricane coming. We stayed up at Cabot, and my wife even found out that they had a hidden generator up there, so she wasn't going in a cold shower or anything like you guys were.
That's right, Chris. I forgot about that. They avoided that little.
Yeah, Matt, if I didn't need therapy after or before that, I probably needed it after that. After it's not the first time they've ditched me and left me in a spot like that. So
it won't be the last time either. Don't worry.
But it was a great time up there. Playing in that Category 1 hurricane. I think we all hit a few wild shots. You remember some of the crosswinds we ran into?
Listen, I've never played in anything like that, and I haven't played in anything like that since, unless I'm in, Country Club at York, where it tends to rain every time I come up to play. But yeah, that was intense. But I mean, we started that trip off at Islands, right? And that was an absolute beautiful day that we golfed there. That was amazing.
That's still one of my all-time favorites for pure eye candy. I still remember turning around and looking, and you're going up a mountain, 1,500 feet up a mountain from sea level, and you're down at sea level starting. You're watching the trout streams run, and you're playing up in the mountains there, and then you're finishing right back at sea level again. And if you just do a 360 down there, I'm telling you, you could turn around. You can't see sights like that in many places of the world from a golf course. So I love that place. I'd go back anytime.
Yeah, I would too. Let me know when you're organizing a trip.
This podcast doesn't just have to be about stories that already happened. It can be starting some new stories if we want to. So planning can happen on the Golf Quest. Don't be worried about that. And I don't know if you remember, you could actually see Newfoundland from Highland Links, which was pretty wild because that's pretty far north.
Yeah, no, I mean that whole trip was just amazing.
And it was in Nova Scotia. So for anybody geographically trying to figure out where it is, it's north of Maine.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so they're not really used to the hurricanes up there. And that first day at Cabot Cliffs where we went through that, we were I think we bought all of the cold weather gear that they had.
I mean, it was bad. Nick, you're probably hearing the story for the first time, but it was, at least for me, the conditions were bad. And there was a little bit of chatter whether or not we would play, but I don't think Scott was going to have that one way or the other. We were going to play.
The Hartmans play in everything. Trust me. That was like a mild day in September because the hurricane center went over us at 2 a.m. if you remember, and the winds at 2 a.m. were about 100 miles an hour that went over top us. So we had 60 on each, about 60 mile an hour winds the day before and after, and I thought it was great. It took away all the excuses for your golf swing, didn't it, Matt?
Well, that it did. Yes. Yeah. I just remember how bundled up I was. It was like I was going skiing.
Yep.
The amount of layers I had on.
Well, the one hole is like a 90-yard par 3, and you like hit into the ocean. And I remember it because I hit a gap wedge and I thinned it, and it went over the green, over the flag, blew back to the other side, hit the green, and rolled back across towards us and into the water. And I'm like, how does it go past the pin, never touch the green until it's back on the other side of the pin again, and then roll into the water? And so that's one that I'll remember for a long time.
I remember that one. I parred it.
Yeah. Well, you made one par that day, so it was great.
That's the second day at Cabot though was beautiful.
Well, yeah. Then we went and played Cabot Links, and I think during that trip we learned about a drink called a Blue Lobster. If you remember that one, which is a ready-to-drink vodka soda in a can. And this is long before the days of High Noon and all those guys. And
that might have been my first time.
Yeah, I think we ran up a pretty good bill with those guys on Blue Lobsters. They had to go searching the ocean, I think, for more. Which I'm guessing that's where you get a Blue Lobster. I'm not entirely sure, but
yeah, I remember going into the turn house when we started, and you guys were already in there pounding Blue Lobsters out of there. And I went in at the end of the round, and the lady said, "Sorry, somebody drank them all." I knew who that was, and later
for a glass of water.
Yeah. So we got the bill later, and because it didn't have electricity, it was all handwritten. You don't want to know like 100 pages of Blue Lobster was on there.
Hey, you know, we it was like going back to like when you were a kid, Dad. There was no TV and no electricity, and you know, we had to figure out something to do.
Shots fired. Shots fired. We're only 17 minutes into this.
Hey, Nick, aren't you going to help me out here? What kind of trash talking is he doing to me?
Well, hey, listen, I figure, you know, we got to keep it just like we will on the golf course. You know, the trash talk flows just like a river pretty consistently here. So it's a good time.
Hey, Scott always has the final word, it seems like, Chris. You know that.
Well, now, Nick, you know, I'm glad you interjected here because we can, you know, talk a little bit about, you know, our trip with you. And you mentioned Sand Hills and a great time we had out there. Took a little while after we started talking about it to make it come to fruition. But, you know, a 98th top 100 golf course. So, you know, it was right there at the end in a wild year for us. And you made it happen, and it was great. So, you know, what's your favorite memory of that trip?
Man, just pulling it together, really. I mean, I think it started probably 4 years ago. I think I saw Scott with one of his fancy belts on at Outlook Leadership in Scottsdale. And I'm like, who is that guy? And got to know you guys over the years. And your journey that you guys were going on, you know, quest to conquer the top 100 courses in the world, father, son, which is a huge feat, and pulling the whole thing together. I don't know how many times I saw you guys and told you, we're going to do Sand Hills, and then only to, you know, flub it, and it didn't happen. And
well, we saw some of those shots on the golf course too, Nick.
Well, you and I both. You know,
I got that in my bag.
I was just hoping that wasn't the name of a course down in Texas, a Muni down there that you kept telling us you were getting us on.
Well,
they wouldn't call it Sand Hills. They don't have any hills down there in Texas.
No. Well, we were down. Gosh, Scott and I were at Stream Song, and I was texting my member's son. You know, they've been members for a long time, founding member, legendary, spectacular Paul Ludwig, as Chris likes to say. But I text Brett and said, when are we going to make this happen? Like, they're getting close. They're struggling getting on there. I'm sure they can, but I want to be involved in this. And he said, why don't you call my dad? And so we left Stream Song, called Paul, and the rest is history. And you know, similar to your story, Matt, I wasn't sure what the weather was going to be like. It was I was just actually looking through my texts from Scott and Chris when they landed, and I think Chris's text said it's raining, just absolutely downpouring in North Platte, Nebraska. And we, meanwhile, Paul, the member, and I were driving from northern Colorado over, and you know, the forecast was it's going to be okay in the afternoon. But when we hooked up with Scott and Chris in North Platte, Nebraska, just north of it, I don't even know where it was, about an hour south of Sand Hills, it it opened up for us, and the rest was history with, just playing good golf, good company, good food, good drinks, and just a very, very unique place. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
The worst thing about that one, and it wasn't actually so bad, was your cell phone doesn't work out there.
yeah,
Well,
That's a good
I
thing.
was going to say that I tell people this all the time about Sandhills. I go, I've never been more in the middle of nowhere in the United States than I was at Sandhills. That place is in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska.
it just, I've heard about it my whole life. 'Cause, growing up with Paul's son Brett, but it has not moved very far up or down. It's stayed right where it has on the top 100 for the last however many years. And you go out there and you realize why, just with the the minimal budget they had moving. I don't know what it cost per grain, but I think their budget was $2.5 million total. And,
Yeah.
And it was the first Core Crenshaw, wasn't it?
I think it was the first Core Crenshaw. And we played 18 holes when we got out there. And then beautiful kind of cabin lodging. Woke up the next morning to a picture from Scott saying it's a beautiful, beautiful morning out in central Nebraska, with down at the creek.
Oh yeah, Dismal River flows right through there. Yeah.
And golf's been built up, I think, around that area because of of Sandhills and the exclusivity of Sandhills and just the terrain of the name. I mean, they're Sandhills. That's what they are. I mean, you go out there, it's like you said, it's nothing like you've ever seen in your life in the middle of Nebraska with nothing around other than these rolling sandhills.
And golf. I mean, there's nothing better than getting up in the morning and you just going up to the clubhouse and there's nothing but golf around you, right? Golf and nature.
When was this trip?
This was day, God,
August.
September 10th. September 10th.
Right before you hit your 100.
This was the third to last.
Oh wow, okay.
Third,
Number 98 for us. Yep.
within a massive amount of the Hartman's 60th. I call it the 60th best days of golf in the history of golf. And I probably serious. Everyone laughs between going to, I've got the list and I've got it in my head, Riviera to Trump to Asia to, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you guys know it. Then Scott went to Pebble, Poppy, Spyglass, Spanish Bay, Sandhills, Castle Pines, Cherry Hills,
Colorado Golf Club.
Oh yeah, Colorado Golf Club and National Links and Shinnecock Hills. Like,
Yeah, that was a fun couple weeks.
I mean,
Wow.
I'm pretty sure my dad was close to needing a wheelchair after that too, because it was a lot of walking.
Hey, give me credit. I was still vertical.
Well, so the fun thing there too was that if you remember, we had the time zone issues with the phones. It wasn't that they didn't just work, but we were jumping time zones in the middle of our cabins. So my alarm went off that first day, and it was set for 6 a.m. And I woke up and I was like, okay, it's 6 a.m. And then I went and sat on the couch to just wake up a little bit. And next thing I know, it turns to 5 a.m. And I go, oh crap.
Yeah, on the golf course too, right? I mean, I forgot about that. Yeah, wherever you're at in the golf course, it's bouncing back map between Central Time and Mountain Time. Central Time.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, my wife thought I was crazy. I got up in the morning and I had to call her and I said, "Hi, how you doing? And what time is it?" Because when everything is electronic today and you rely on your cell phone and it's switching back and forth in time zones by 10 feet each direction, you don't even know what time it is. It was crazy. My wife thought I was crazy, but she then just assumed I had too much to drink the night before, and that could have been correct.
Well, there were a few drinks involved on both these trips. We talked about the blue lobsters, and I think we were also collecting some red plastic cups out there at Sand Hills, which I did bring a few of those back with me.
Yep.
After a few drinks, whether it was during the round or after, but we had some pretty good battles out there, didn't we, Nick? I think you and I played the tips at least like once or twice while we were out there.
Yeah, we did, and that was fun. I think I got you one round, but you got me the remaining rounds, and then we go to do. Chris had this bright idea, Matt. We played 36 holes on 9/11, September 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
Scott and Paul, our member, said, "Hey, I think we played enough." And I looked at Chris, he looked at me, and I said, "Let's go." And the guys out at the starting area said the carts need to be back. I don't know if it was 7 or whatever.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Wow.
And I swear we looked at our watch and it was 6:20, something like that. Boom, went straight to the first tee. And
You remember we played the ladies' tees?
played the ladies' tees.
You get around.
Chris sculling a shot into a par 3 into the dunes, and I hit it on the green. So, and we're playing no practice swings. You just go up and hit it
Right.
from the dunes, knocks it to 8 feet, makes the putt. I 3-putt. He wins the hole.
Of course.
Hey,
Wow.
well, that was good. We had to listen to your stories because Paul being the one of the best hosts, Paul and I, we went to the 19th hole and we just sat up there and looked over the golf course, polished down a couple cocktails, and we were under par the entire round of that 19th hole.
Yeah.
Well, we were able to play 7 holes in about 40 minutes when we were out there, if you remember. And we got some pretty good sunset views out on that golf course. Because like I said, you are in the middle of nowhere.
You are. And I remember, I was thinking about this recently. I mean, we, here in Texas, you really don't see the stars because of the altitude. And I remember that one night, Paul, everything out there so far, the cabins are far from the golf shop area is far from the starting area. And I remember one night we took the golf carts from the cabins after dinner over about a driving range, I think is where we ended up, and just stood out there for 15 minutes and looked up at the stars. And as our member said, absolutely spectacular. So,
Oh yeah, you're closer to God out there because the sky is right on top of you, isn't it?
no, incredible.
Sounds.
Yeah, well, they have some pretty good salespeople in these pro shops too, don't they? I can't remember the lady's name out there at Sand Hills.
Pam.
What was it? Pam. Yeah. Pam. Nick and I walk in there, Matt,
Yeah.
and we're like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? She goes, I'm going all right. And I go, how are sales today? And she goes, I haven't made any sales yet today. I haven't had anyone come through and buy anything. And I go, well, we're about to make your quota for the day, so you'll be able to relax after this one. And,
I think you made her quota for the month.
and Nick and I did pretty good damage there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was following Chris around, which wasn't a good idea, shopping.
Never
Yeah.
did.
All the people out there were super. And I remember running into the member, Mr. Brown, and he's just hanging out there waiting on his next group to come in, asking me where I'm from, and we're chatting. And next thing you know, he tells me he's from Hutchinson, Kansas. I'm like, hey, I know a person from there. Next thing I know, they were next door neighbors, and
Yeah.
taking pictures. And then we're seeing Mr. Brown at like every place around the club, and super nice guy, all nice people there, though. The members were so welcoming. Chris, didn't you even kind of violate your Ravens fan rule? Didn't you put on a Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl ring there?
Well, I didn't know that it was going to be like death by 1,000 cuts after that. So it did hurt even more to have worn that. It kind of burns a little bit, but we'll
Yeah.
get him next year.
Yeah. Well, one of the members was on the board of Kansas City Chiefs, and he has his ring there. And like so, he's letting Chris try it on, and we're just getting to know everybody. So nice. I mean, again, that's what's been part of this whole journey. It's the people you're with and the people you get to know, and yeah, it was spectacular. Up in Canada, we had a couple caddy stories up there, didn't we, Matt? Or maybe you don't want to go into that.
Well, yeah, I won't go into detail with them by any means, but definitely Chris reminded me with all the blue lobsters that we did have a caddy one evening that was quite hammered, if you recall. Do you recall, Chris?
Yeah, I believe he may have dropped his cell phone into a urinal.
I'm not sure if he dropped it. I think he literally just placed it there. Seriously, because he wasn't concerned when we brought it to his attention.
Well, he made the number one. He made the number one error, which is trying to keep up drinking with our golf groups that we have, and he had some sort of tie to Barstool, but
was that was after the fact, though, right? I think after the fact, we found that out after.
Yeah, but he was an interesting guy. We the caddies at some of these places are usually pretty fun folks.
Ton of stories, caddy stories. Sometime in the future, we'll do that on our podcast, I'm sure, and actually get some of them on.
I think he was asked to go home the next day, right? I believe.
I think, he was sick.
Well, was that it, or they just said, maybe you ought to take a break today for?
I think he could call in and say he was sick because his phone didn't work.
Well, we keep talking about some of these different golf courses. Matt, do you want to rub some salt in Nick's wound and talk about Caves at all? We've had a few good rounds there too, haven't we?
We have Caves. I was looking at it today because I think it changed, but my favorite hole at Caves, I think it was 12. Mm-hmm. I think it's now 3. It's a par 3, but it's that one kind of you feel like you're on I don't know, not a cliff per se, but you're up high. They changed it around quite a bit, didn't they?
They did. All the golf course flipped, right, Dad? And
they're getting ready for the BMW again, which will be 2025.
Well, that was a fun day too.
yeah, and they rearranged the order of the holes, so they reversed them. So it was a little confusing when you watch a tournament and you see a different hole number. So now they'll all be in sync this time. And they've done a tremendous amount of work there to get ready again. And so, that place this year is going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it. They'll be the one of 2 courses in the Mid-Atlantic that has sub-air system on their greens. And all the things they've done there to make it what it is. It's a fantastic world-class golf course. And so,
and it's just money. So, why not spend it?
It's my favorite hideaway. Nobody ever heard of it, but now they do.
It really is. I've had you guys have brought me up there a few times. It's absolutely amazing. I've had a chance to stay in some of the older cabins, had a chance to stay in the newer cabins. I think I've played 3 or 4 times with you guys, maybe more than that. But it's been a blast every time. It's a beautiful course. I have a buddy that I'd always rub it in that I was going to go play Caves, and he never thought he'd ever have a chance to play Caves. And sure enough, in his business world, an opportunity presented itself. And so sure enough, I got a phone call and he rubbed it in that he was going to go play Caves. So it's a real treat to be able to play Caves.
Yeah, we love our golf courses and our clubs and Country Club of York too. You've played there.
I have. My favorite hole there, let's see, 13 maybe?
13,
it's usually a good one to pull driver out and swing as hard as you can. Just try and hit it straight. So
see if you can get it in the backyard.
Stay out of my backyard.
I have to be careful because either Hillary or Kathy, someone's always standing there when I come around.
Yeah. And one day, Nick, you'll make it up here to experience some of the good golf up here too.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to it. Definitely want to come up and hit both of them, and Start with a hat, though.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
So,
you're gonna have to
but
work on that Texas draw you got though, because you got to hit it a little higher than 3 feet off the ground, Nick.
Is it you do carry some stuff?
yeah, so the Country Club of York is an old Donald Ross course, and it keeps the big hitters very honest. They
Yeah.
have open qualifiers there, and they just did a lot of work to try to keep the bunkers and everything back to the way they were supposed to look in Donald's eyes. And it's spectacular. So if you haven't played it, Matt's played it, a ton of our friends have. Nick, you finally made it to our list. We'll invite you up, okay?
Absolutely. I appreciate
You'll love it.
that, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, when it's 120 degrees down in Texas, the 95 it is up here won't feel so bad.
Well, yeah, in Central Texas, we've talked, Chris. I mean, we don't have the luxury of the courses like you have. You get down to Austin, okay. Dallas, yes, but where I'm at, I'm stuck here. So let's arrange something this year, guys.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe that has to be, a staple on this podcast is trying to find a way to book a trip while we're filming here. That's going to be a fun thing to do, I'm sure, because you guys won't be the last ones. We'll have to talk about some future trips with here as we keep going on.
Yeah.
But,
so I got a question for these guys. Where would you want to roll with the Hartmans next if you could pick a course? Any course.
don't say Augusta.
Go ahead, Nat.
You mentioned it earlier, Chris, and I actually almost played it. And Chris talked me out of it because it was the time of year. It's in Florida. I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Sawgrass?
No.
Seminole.
No. Ah, man.
What's in that cup you're drinking there, Matt?
Water. Chris, you mentioned it.
It's not juice?
Right by Tampa, just north of Tampa, I believe.
Oh, is that?
Stream song? Stream song.
Stream song, yes. Maybe you didn't mention it earlier.
It's south of Tampa a little bit, south of Tampa and Orlando. Yeah, that's a great track. They got 3 really nice golf courses there.
I'd like to do that. Yeah, Chris, I had a chance to go play, and Chris talked me out of it. He's like, Matt, don't.
I did?
I think it was.
I don't remember that. I've never been there.
Yeah, I think it was.
He didn't want you to go.
You're gonna die out there.
Yeah.
So I pushed it off.
And Stream Song, it's out. That's another one out in the middle of nowhere if you want to get out there. But it's a great design, and it was a quarry. It was a phosphate quarry that they just converted over, and a lot of alligators. Yeah,
I can handle it. Hey, I think we've actually played another course that we didn't mention here. Chris, I don't know about you, but I know I played with Scott and maybe some folks from Rutter's RTJ here in my neck of the woods.
Robert Trent Jones, absolutely. Yeah, there in Manassas. Yeah, that's a classic course too. Yeah.
Yep.
That is not on that 100 list, right?
It's not, but it's a fun one.
Yeah, not on the world list. Yeah. Nick, where do you want to go with us?
You ready?
Yeah.
Ahupe Match Club.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't played there
Georgia.
yet. Yeah, we were just with some folks so they could get us on there. So, there we go.
No, we don't need time. We don't even have to decide what tees we're playing. And there's 22 holes, I've heard, and you can't play stroke play. It's just match play. Whoever wins, I heard whoever wins the previous hole picks the tees that you play on the next hole.
Tip it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's 81 or something in the world. It's climbed pretty good. And then, I'm a Colorado guy, and you guys have talked about this a lot, rubbed it in a lot. Valley Neal. I know you guys have done some stuff. You've done some meetings out there. I think you've been out there maybe a couple times, just similar to Sand Hills a little bit, right? Just terrain and accommodations. And There's nothing in Holyoke, Colorado. I know that. Growing up. So.
Yeah, it's out in the middle of nowhere as well. I remember when I took my team there, and I was in the lead car. We had 3 cars, and we were driving down the road to get there, and it's like 10 miles of nothing but dirt road. And I was just blowing the dust up on the guys behind me, and I was just talking to the folks in the car. I said, they got to be thinking I'm just busting on them. We're going to end up out in the middle of nowhere, and I'll stop and tell them to get their clubs out and leave. That's Ellie Neal's very, very cool. And they too have the same thing with the tee boxes where, the winner of the prior bowl gets to choose where they want to tee off on that tee box.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They speak of roads, remember that shuttle van from Sandhills? Remember the Toyota?
I'm not sure how they chose, what vehicle to give us, but that was one where, you're not sure if people think you're like a, child molester driving down the road in that thing, because it's a little bit shady. And when they go, yeah, your van's outside, and I saw that and I go, oh boy, like, how old is this thing? It was like a 2008, Toyota Sienna or something like that.
Hey, if you ever get back there, you're going to be hitchhiking this time, Chris.
Paul will come pick me up.
He would. Yeah.
Thumbs up to Paul, by the way. Paul is such a cool host, and loved it. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, gosh, and I've kept in touch with him, and I didn't get together with him when I went back home for Thanksgiving, but, just the guy he is, and, hey, when are you guys leaving to go to Colorado? Tuesday. Can you get in a little bit earlier? Yeah, I can probably make that happen. Well, why don't I get you lined up with my friend at Colorado Golf Club, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. And that was equally as, it was special too. I mean, highly different than Sandhills, unbelievable.
And if you remember, Nick, one of the fun things was, because obviously his friend knew that we were on this golf quest, and he's asking us, he's going, hey, what'd you think about our golf club? Would you rate in the top 100? And, to me, I think it's a great club. There were certainly a few things I think that they could, do to improve it. But man, it was a challenge. There's some tough holes out there. And it usually takes about like 1 to 2 paintbrushes. Shout out to another drink here to loosen it up, and then that's when Nick and I started putting some scores up there.
That's right.
You remember that?
I do, yeah. Got it the turn, and I don't even know what it was, but sounded refreshing. Nice Colorado day, and and then you guys leave and go. You went to dinner. And I was catching my little Southwest flight back to Texas, and I'm like, "Where's my travel bag?" Well, the Hartmans took it, and I said, "Well, send that Uber back here. I need to my little golf. What do they call it? Travel backbone."
Yep.
But I
still got that.
Sitting in the parking lot and see a former Denver Broncos and Ravens wide receiver. Remember that? Brandon.
Brandon Stokely, right? Yeah.
And then I went and had pretzels on the way back. Well, you guys played Cherry Hills, and so
we were thinking of you.
Your day.
We were thinking of you.
That makes you feel better, doesn't it, Nick?
Yeah. Well, and I'm just glad you survived eating blowfish so we could do Sandhills, right?
that was a good one. We went to Japan, and they told us we were going to have blowfish for dinner, and I'm looking at my wife, I'm looking at the host, and I'm like, that stuff will kill you.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that one on another day, Dad. But I do remember some good food we had, in a few different places. When we were up in Canada with Mr. Danzig over here, we had to end up at a brewery because it was the only place with electricity.
And a generator.
Yeah, yeah. It was the only one that had the generator to keep the electricity going, and you know, we we were just like a group of what, like 12, and everyone we just passed everyone in the line because you know my mom was like, "Oh yeah, I've got a table reserved or whatever," and we walk in there, and I'm pretty sure we got some, and I think someone tried to trip me on the way in too.
You don't remember because I was in the car when we were driving over to the golf course, and I said to your mom, "I see lights on. That place has a generator.
Yep.
When you
Yeah.
when you drive back, stop there and see if you can get us in
I had
because
forgotten about that.
we're gonna be hungry." You remember?
I'll be honest, I don't remember what the food was, but I remember it was the only place with warm food, which we hadn't had in like 2 days.
Yep.
So it felt good to have some warm food in us.
How about their lobster rolls up there?
They had
Amazing.
lobster rolls.
Yeah. I saw them on the bill. Those were like another 30 pages of lobster roll.
The way you're talking about the 19th hole, it sounds like that bill might have been generated by you, Scott.
Yeah, right.
Well, you certainly, after I saw the bill, you made me drink. Let's put it that way.
Well, so you'll appreciate this too, Matt. So we go out to Sand Hills, and I got to bring Paul something to when we go out, and so I brought some wine, and I brought Farniente Cabernet, which pretty good, and Paul had never had that, and he's like, I really only drink one glass of wine at dinner, and it's just a small glass of wine. I said, all right, whatever, Nick and I will finish it if you don't finish it, and so I pour him a glass of wine. I think it went down in about 30 seconds. What do you think, Nick? And then he goes, I think I can do one more.
Yeah, and he wasn't even. I think he, doesn't drink red wine often, and ended up drinking that. And I think he ended up giving him an extra bottle he was going to give to his son for kind of helping line it up. When I'm going to keep this for myself. Actually,
and then he drank it himself. Yeah.
What was his drink out there? Well, there was wasn't it old fashioned? What was that?
Anejo.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And the old, speaking of food, the turn at Sand Hills, Nebraska beef. Guys,
They're grilling. They grill right out there. Yeah.
a Weber grill out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was an easy life, a good life. How about it?
Well, I remember having that pork chop at dinner the last night too, and the thing was like the size of like a small child, and I couldn't finish it, and it was like, it feels weird sharing food, but after you've played like 70 holes with guys, it's kind of like, whatever. You shared everything else, I think. So
Yeah.
We definitely shared at Cabot or on that trip. That's for sure.
We did more than maybe we should have, but at least we had separate beds, Matt.
That was the one thing that was separate, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about how the Hartmans roll. You guys have gotten a feel for it, and would you do it again if you had to?
Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. I would absolutely not. That was a great experience. Phenomenal. Hurricane made it even better. It was added value.
It's all about the fun and the stories and doing it with guys like you and both of you and just having a great time, and that's why we're happy to have you here today, and able to share some of these stories. So I did have one question before we sign off here. Trivia of the day.
Well,
so let's see how good your knowledge base is of our top 100 quest here. Okay. What was the first golf course that my dad and I played together on our journey to complete the top 100 golf courses in the world?
your first?
Yeah. We'll give you a second, and I'll start the hints. U.S. Open.
Pinehurst, number 2.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. We played 2 days after the U.S. Open 18 years ago. Yes.
Back
Wow.
here.
Great.
That was before they did the remodel work. That was back when the fairways were short, but the rough was to die for, literally to die for. And I remember when Chris teed off the number one, the caddy said, if you get over in that rough, just hit it sideways back out. And I watched him hit into the rough on his tee shot, and then I watched him hit 3 more shots trying to get out of it going forward, and then finally he remembered, hit it out sideways.
Not Chris.
Yeah, you learn your lesson eventually, but I guess it's that Pennsylvania, stubbornness I got in me that I'm not going to take it from a slow talking North Carolina guy right away. I gotta try it myself first. So,
Wow, you're offending everybody out here.
Hey, listen, you're either all friends or all enemies, I think now.
You're politically correct today.
Politically correct went out the window, I think, a long time ago in this country.
At what point did you guys take on this challenge? I mean, was it from the get-go that you guys were going to do the 100, or did you guys get to a certain thing and say, holy shit, we've got 30 of these courses down, are we going to go for the other 70?
I think we both agree that it's when we got Augusta that it started to become real.
Which was what number? Which was at the time?
I don't know. I don't remember exactly what number it was, but it was in 2010.
Probably maybe in the 20s or 30s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that was kind of I never thought I'd ever get to play there, and let alone have my son get invited to play with me. So once we did that one, then it was like, wow, we got the toughest one out of the way, and it wasn't easy finding all the places, but as I say in golf, you're only 2 people removed from knowing somebody who can get you on a course, and it's fascinating. What do they say? You're 7 or 8 people removed in the world of a lot of things, but in golf, it's 2, in my opinion. And it's kind of proved that way. And that's how we got on Augusta. And,
good for you guys.
That was 2010.
Wow.
Yep.
Next, you guys got a couple more that a couple more lists that you could knock off, right?
Yeah, we just played Ocean Forest down at Sea Island. So that was one of the 3 that we needed to play to finish off a couple more lists. We got Wentworth over in London.
Yeah. I already got that one, but you didn't, so you got to play that.
Yeah, you're also 30 years older, so congratulations.
That's why I have 2 lists knocked out, and you only have 1. But anyway.
All right. Well, you want that or 30 years back on your life, so all right. Let's see. And also probably another 150 yards on your drive, but we won't talk about that right now.
These two.
Help me, you young guys. Jeez.
I feel like we're on the course.
They've been part of this before, and it's funny. We were talking about some trash talk, and one of my favorite lines is from Matt. We're on the golf course, and I don't know. I must have been trash talking him or my dad or someone, and he says on the tee to me, he goes, Chris, you're a pretty nice guy most of the time, but on the golf course, you're kind of an and I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I kind of am. All right. So I guess you just lean into it after a while, huh?
Probably not a good thing that you remember me saying that. So maybe I should have said that.
You know what? Yeah, I've put up with it longer than anybody has. So that's what the parent child thing's all about.
You two love it. You guys love it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a good time, and I always think it loosens up the group because they know that if we're willing to say the things we say to each other, there can't be too many things that are off limits on the golf course or in the trash talk. So it keeps it pretty fun.
It definitely is always fun. That's for sure.
Yeah, even Paul got into trash talking.
He did.
Well,
was that after the turtle peed on him?
What's that?
So was that after that turtle peed on him?
And
he did say he had a turtle pee on him, didn't he? They have turtles out there in Sand Hills.
I'm good memory, Chris Hartman.
That was a good one. Oh, I think this thing's peeing on me.
It was actually probably just Nick. He didn't realize it.
Wow. See, you might think I'm mean. Listen to this one over here. You know? Well, I'll say this. I think this is a good way to end it today. I appreciate you guys coming on, and I thought it was a great conversation. Great, we had some great times with you guys, and let's have some more. I mean, like we were talking about, we'll have some more trips coming up. I know I'll see you guys at a lot more spots over the next few months here, so we'll probably get some golf in either there or maybe somewhere in between.
And if not before, we'll see you in May.
Absolutely.
We got a bunch of friends I'm sure will be watching this and listening to it. So let's work on rounding up our friends to get out and play golf. It's good for you, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Glad to have you guys. So with that, we'll sign off the Golf Quest. Thank you, Nick and Matt, for a great show here today, and golf clap out.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.